What's going on, guys? Welcome to the next episode of RB67. We are going to get right into it. We're going to start off with our whole format in the beginning of the show is going to be going forward. It's going to be getting into the news and different things that has gone on in the last week or so. And I got a few that I want to talk about. First one I want to talk about is they released the news that the new Jedi film that's going to start Rey, which, again, you're going to know my opinions going forward on Rey more when we get into the episode about the sequel trilogy, but who's really asking for another Rey movie? I'm not. I know a huge bunch of the fan base isn't.
Yeah, and I mean, the sequel trilogy got really terrible reviews for, good reason, and
just a
it's
failure.
They're just trying to give us more of it now. Like, okay, I guess we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's just a failure, but I'll give it a chance because I am a Star Wars fan, but I guess the new title is being called Star Wars A New Beginning. I like the title if it didn't have Rey in it.
I guess it depends, too. I mean, if you got, Filoni and Favreau working on it, it could definitely be great, but it depends on where they go with it, how they do it, and
absolutely,
it's tough.
Next thing in the news that I want to bring up, Matthew Vaughn, the director of Kingsman, says that we should reboot Star Wars. I have a problem with this. I get it. Movies get rebooted. I get it. We get new interpretations, new adaptions. I get it. Star Wars is its own beast. Star Wars isn't like every other franchise. I get it. We did it with Star Trek, with Chris Pine and all that. But Star Wars is different. I do not think Star Wars needs to be rebooted. I don't think anybody's asking for Star Wars to be rebooted. I think we're asking for original stories, kind of like how Mandalorian went in its own different direction, and people loved it. It was new. It was exciting. We need to go away from the Skywalker story, and we need to come into new stories that are just fun. That's what I want.
Plus, if they reboot the original movies and stuff, then there's just a chance of them bombing again with another trilogy of movies. I mean...
Exactly. I mean, it could go good, it could go bad, but I'd rather it just go into another... Don't reboot it. Don't. Because no one's going to accept another Luke.
Reboots can be tough because then there's a lot there's a lot of people are going to expect for it to be similar to the original, and it's just a dangerous waters to get into, I think.
So the next thing we're going to get into is a couple game news for Star Wars, for all our Star Wars gamers out there.
We don't got sound in there.
So
you can cut that out.
So there was a game that they released a trailer for called Star Wars Audio. Or I screwed that up. Star Wars Outlaws. What it pretty much was a I can't hear anything out of here either. That's why I'm just going with it. It was a game called Star Wars Outlaws. They brought the trailer out at the convention, and it looked good. It was like a, not Splinter Cell type of game, but it was really a stealth game. You were part of the Rebel Alliance, and you were getting intel about the Galactic Empire and bringing it back. And from the footage, it looks fantastic. Like, if you haven't checked it out, definitely go check it out. It's fantastic.
They have like a trailer for it or just like a concept?
They actually have a trailer and they have a gameplay trailer.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, I'll have to check that out.
So right now, they pushed it back to a later. They pushed it back to a later 24, early 25 release by Ubisoft. It was supposed to come out early next year, but I guess with everything going on, they pushed it back.
I'd rather them push a game back and have it be good when it comes out than rush it out and, have so many problems and issues with the game that it just ends up.
Absolutely. They're also coming out with a remaster of Star Wars Dark Forces, which was the first-person shooter game for Star Wars. And it literally introduced the fan favorite, Kyle Katarn, who single-handedly took down the Imperial plot in the wake of the first Death Star destruction. That game is fantastic. Like, if you haven't played Dark Forces, definitely pick up the remaster. It's fantastic. And then they came out with another first-person shooter, which will call into the next story I want to bring up, which was Republic Commando, which I love that game too. But there's the next report that we want to talk about is it's out right now on digital, but they're getting a physical release. Star Wars Heritage Pack. What it is, it's 7 games of early Star Wars games that you can buy for the Nintendo Switch. The physical release is looking to be December 8th, 2023, and it's only going to be about $60 instead of $80 compared to what it is on the eShop right now. And the Heritage Pack includes Star Wars The Force Unleashed, Republic Commando, Episode 1 Racer, which I played the shit out of, Jedi Outcast, Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, which are great games, and then the 2 Knights of the Republic games, which I think are just hands down great.
Yeah, I mean, and if it was going to be $60 for all those games, that's a good price.
Yeah, what is it, $5 on the actual cards, and then the 2 Knights of the Republic games on just the download? Those games are fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to pick that up, but I'll definitely wait for the physical copies. I prefer to have the game cards over the digital.
Now, talking about games, I will say one thing about, like, out of all those games, besides Republic Commando, Knights of the Republic was my go-to. Like, that was the first role-playing game, old-school role-playing game, the wait-and-click type of game, and it was fantastic. It was such a revolutionary game in the Star Wars gamedom, if I'm going to even use that as a word. We've had great games before, but Knights of the Republic, you got to build your own character, the way you wanted them to look. Did you want to go dark side? Did you want to go light side? Certain things you did on the dark side had consequences. Certain things you did on the light side had consequences. And it lets you play both dark side and light side to get both endings. And it was so good. And it was so refreshing. Which everybody knows the Knights of the Republic games led to the PC version of Star Wars The Old Republic, which is still going. And there's still thousands and thousands of fans still playing that game. And that game is fantastic.
I also like the original Battlefront game, Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront games, 1 and 2 for like PlayStation 2 maybe they were out.
Yeah,
for
those were
something.
great.
Those were great games, like the classic games. And then, I mean, the new Battlefront game that they made for the PS4 when it came out, I think it was, I mean, I had fun playing it online, but it definitely wasn't anywhere near as good as the originals.
When they tried to bring that back for the PS4 and stuff, it just did not work.
Yeah, I mean, they changed a lot, and it was just mostly online, so, like, it just, yeah.
I will say, which leads into this whole conversation, like, I did respect the fact that Star Wars is keeping everything tied together. I mean, if you watched Mandalorian, what was it, season 2, when Bill Burr was on there again, and he was talking about the battle of whatever, that battle was in Battlefront 2 on the PS4. That whole campaign was what he was talking about. And I thought that was really cool and very awesome to put into.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so after all the news and everything, you said you have a theory, and you were telling me about theory, and I think we should really put this out there because I think it's a very well theory, and I kind of want to hear it in full. So I'm going to leave the floor to you to bring up your theory.
All right, so after the last episode on Ahsoka, I was thinking about the show a lot, going over my notes that I had about it, and so I think it's episode 5. Baylan is talking with Shin, and talking about how he learned about the this path between the galaxies with the Purrgil, and how it's all supposed to just be folklore and, you know, stuff that they learned at the Jedi Temple. Mm-hmm. But, you know, when they make it there, he realizes that, you know, what he learned was true and it wasn't just folklore. And then he starts getting into this power that could end the struggle between good and evil and whatnot. And he talks about how he's seeking this power. At the end of the episode, you see him standing on a statue of the Mortis Father that's pointing to that ray of light that's coming from some structure, mountaintop, whatever it is. And then also in episode 1, if you remember, when Ahsoka drops into that temple where she gets the map from, on the walls they have cave paintings or carvings or whatever of the witches of Dathomir.
Yep.
So that's the map leading to that other galaxy, that other jump point, and then there they have the Mortis father statue pointing to this ray of light. So I think that this power that he's seeking could be the power that gave the witches of Dathomir their magics and created the Mortis ghosts on Mortis. So that's kind of my theory on it, and this is the power that he's seeking. And he also mentions that the witches are running from something when he's talking to Shin. They're running from a greater power, so I think that that's why they're running. So that was my theory on it that I just thought up while I was going over everything. I don't know how you feel about that, but
at the end, it's all going to lead one place, and I just want to see, honestly, how they're going to wrap it up, because at the end, there's got to be the First Order, because that's what Favreau said. He said, by the end of this whole universe that we're doing on TV, it's going to lead to the formation of the First Order. I want to see, and very little, we're getting different, like, scenes in these shows. Like, you've seen the clones in Mandalorian of, Snoke, and where we're going with this, and you've seen the troopers with Thrawn, which were almost like the dead troopers and stuff, which is fantastic.
And they do show the witches revive them at one point. Like, he's
I
like,
really
and
wish
then they all come back up after they just got defeated, and they're like, oh crap.
After seeing the statues, I still wish they would have went back to the original idea before Favreau changed it, and did the whole thing what he did. I still would have loved to see it in the finale, it being Ahsoka versus what the heck's it? Oh my god, I can't think of the name right now.
Balin?
No, Vader's other apprentice.
Oh.
It was named after the base in Force Awakens. I literally can't come up with the name. But it was supposed to be Vader was the father and Starkiller. That's it. It would have made everything made sense because of the little smirk that he made toward Ahsoka when Ahsoka chose the light, and he had that smirk, which I said last week, which was the acknowledgement of I saved another from going down the path. It would have been amazing if Starkiller would have been that battle between Ahsoka and him, and Anakin's ghost, or the ghost of Mortis, or whatever you want to consider him in that moment, watching over his two apprentice, because Starkiller was his apprentice. So was Ahsoka.
So that'd be the Mortis father, daughter,
and son,
and the good, the evil, and then the both.
That would have been great. I would have loved that. That would have been awesome. What he did with the finale, though, I like it. I think it works. But I would have liked to see that better, because I think that better would have wrapped everything in all. But then also, you would have had everybody jumping up and down for joy, because everybody loves Starkiller. And the dude that does his voice is one of the biggest Star Wars fans ever, and he's done voices on the Clone Wars. He was Palpatine on the Clone Wars for a while, besides Tim Curry. He was Darth Maul's voice, Sam Witwer. Like, that, he is amazing, and he's a hardcore Star Wars fan. Why don't we bring him back into the live action? And I think maybe why they didn't have him in the finale is because maybe they have something more for him.
Yeah.
And I hope so, because Witwer is fantastic. He is good at what he does.
It sucks that they set up this whole, like, thing for Balin, like, that they could go to moving forwards, and then now they're gonna have to recast him,
Ray Stevenson passed away. Rest in peace. Like, it's sad, because after what he was able to do, I want to see more.
Yeah, I definitely was interested to see what was going to happen with that, and now.
And I hope Disney
recast it, but.
And again, I hope Disney really doesn't, like, not recast, because I get the whole thing with, like, on a whole nother medium with, like, the Black Panther situation where T'Challa was dead, and because the real actor died. I don't want to see that for Balin. Balin is too awesome of a character that we set up. Recast.
Yeah.
Get somebody. I'm
Don't
gonna
just like kill him off and like some.
I'll throw out a name. And a lot of people will be like, "Really? You know what? Henry Cavill. Give it to Henry Cavill. Look what he was able to do with The Witcher. Amazing. Henry Cavill's Balin. I think that'd be a great pass too.
Yeah. I definitely think that would work.
Like, you can't just end his story. Like, the way you left it, you have to continue. It just sucks we're not getting Ahsoka season 2 until this full movie comes out. So, because that's supposed to be like the accumulation of everything that's happened so far, all three seasons of Mandalorian, the Boba Fett, the Skeleton Crew, which is supposed to come out before the movie, which that should be out early next year. And then we still have the Acolyte too. Out of both of those shows, I'm more interested in the Acolyte because I want to see what what we see through the dark side's eyes at the end of the High Republic era. That I want to see. I think that's very interesting. I still think it is a Darth Plagueis origin story, even though they're not saying it is. But think about it. The timeline writes up. Who is in the dark side Sith training at the point before all those years before Episode 1? Palpatine's alive. If you read the book, which we're going to get into because our main topic today is books, the Lord Plagueis book, the Darth Plagueis book, fantastic. Yeah, no longer known as canon anymore. It should be. But I think it's because they put too much stuff on film that they want to get away from that. Because we'll get into that today. Because I'm gonna do a top 5. I don't know if you have 5 books off the top of your head that you like. I have a top 5, so we'll go back and forth. And I think I'm gonna do a top 5 of books everybody should read if you're a Star Wars fan, because I think it's amazing. And we will get into that Plagueis book because I have a lot to say about that, and that book is fantastic. And if you get it on Audible, you can literally get through it in a day. Like, it's dope. And it links up to Episode 1. That's why I think that we'll get into that when we get into there. But, yeah, I want to see where they go with this Mandoverse. I want to see what the next thing we get. Again, Skeleton Crew sounds cool. I want to see what they do with it, because it's supposed to be like a Goonies type of kids and adventure story in the galaxy. I want to see what that does, and Favreau is very excited about it. And if he's excited, I'm excited, because we've seen what happens when Favreau and Filoni put out stuff that excites them. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
I mean, look what he did with Luke. Look what he did with Luke at the end of season 2. That excited him. I mean, he kept that from everybody, and then we got it, and it was just like, oh, just yes. If he's excited, I'm excited. I want to see what the Skeleton Crew is, and then let's get on to Acolyte. Because after Acolyte, I don't think there's anything else. There's nothing else said. Yeah. I don't know if they're going to end the shows and just start movies after that, or what they're going to do, but they want to wrap it up. And he says there is an ending. But Mando, I think, will still go on, because Favreau made a comment asking, do you know what the end of Mando looks like? And he goes, we're only halfway through the story. Halfway? We're about 3 seasons. So we're going to get 6 seasons? I think he's going to push it to 7, because all good TV shows end with 7 seasons, if not more. If he can get this story all together to 7 seasons, and it works, and it's not bad, I think we should let him do it.
Absolutely. I mean, I love the show. I've enjoyed it since the beginning. I mean, obviously the finale of this past season, we can have an episode about that whole show, but the finale didn't really leave you any cliffhangers or anything to wait for next season, so that was the only kind of downfall.
Which made me weird, because there's always a cliffhanger. And it's why I think at the end, Favreau and Filoni were working on on other things, because there's nowhere to go. Not trying to get off topic, but we're bringing up TV shows. Look what he did with season 3 of Mando. To me, and we've talked about this, to me, that looked like a season finale, series finale.
Yeah.
Everything was wrapped up.
Definitely could have been.
Everything was wrapped up. Mando was off with Grogu. The Mandalorians got back their homeworld. They started back up. There was nothing to lead to, okay, what would happen next season?
Right.
They wrapped everything up. So I'm really thinking, after The Acolyte, and we finally get the movie done by Filoni, I think we're taking a break on TV shows. I have this feeling. We're going to maybe wait a couple years, and then we're going to get thrown some more stuff to kind of let it breathe. And that's what I think Star Wars needs, as much as am I going to not be excited we get a Star Wars movie every year? Of course I am. we're going to get Star Wars every year. Fuck yeah, I'm going to be there opening night. I'm going to be opening night like I always am. Even with the shitty sequels, I was still there opening night because I'm a Star Wars fan first, a critic next, and I'm there. But we need some breathing room. We need some breathing room to kind of digest what we got and to be moving on with something new. With saying that, we need a movie. I know it's going to be a lot longer now because of the strike, the actors' strike, which I hope they get an agreement soon because we're going to start feeling that heat with no movies or TV shows soon. We need it soon, so they need to end this strike. As soon as the strike ends, we need an announcement of a Star Wars movie in production ASAP.
Absolutely.
Because wait, I mean, I'm not good with dates all like that, but when did episode 9 come out? Was it 2019? Was it 19? Yeah, 15, 17, 19. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been that.
2019. So we haven't had a Star Wars movie in 4 years. We've got them announced, but nothing's being done. We need to get something in production. Legit something in production because I want to see what the next Star Wars movie is going to be, what it's going to feel like.
And we're doing all TV shows though.
I mean, that's keeping me happy getting the TV shows. But when it comes to TV shows, we need to stop with this 26 minutes, 38 minutes, 49 minutes. We need a straight up hour a week show. Not this back and forth. Because these very, very short episodes, I can feel that you can feel the hurt. Like, you're like, it could have been longer. It could have had more story. I want more. And then there's some that are like 49 minutes where you're like, well, they should have cut that. That was dragging. They got to get a happy medium of just an hour a week and give us Star Wars content. That would be perfect. But them pulling away from the shows now saying, well, we're diluting the shows. No, the Marvel is diluting the shows. Star Wars fans are loving what you're giving us. Give us more.
Right.
I'm not saying more shows, but give us more longer run times. Get us more enriched episodes. Because there was a couple episodes, at least 2 episodes in Ahsoka that I felt just dragged on and on and on. And I'm like, let's go. Let's get to the point. Like, you need a bathroom break? Take it during this. Because, like, it dragged. But then there was episodes, like the World Between World episodes, that I was eating at the freaking table. And I was like, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. Especially when they got into the Clone Wars live action parts and the Siege of Mandalore. I lost my shit for the Siege of Mandalore. I was like, yes.
Yeah, that was definitely sweet.
And I thought Maul was going to make an appearance just to show him. And I'm like, that would have been dope. They should have. I think they're holding out. I think they got Maul planned for something else because they made a comment that Maul he's dead as of right now. But he is going to be coming back for future content, which I think stuff in the past, which would be awesome. Just give it to me. Just give it to me. As long as you have the writing, Favreau and Filoni are behind it, I'm good.
Yeah.
I am so good. Okay. Do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I think we get into the main topic now.
All right. We're going to get into Star Wars literature. Like I said in our first episode, every episode is going to have a theme for our main topic of the day that we're going to get into for the week. And we got a bunch of cool stuff coming. This week we want to talk about books. I want to talk about the top 5 books I think people should read. There's definitely lots more people should read, but it's the top 5 that I enjoyed a lot. I know you were doing the books by Audible for Thrawn, and you were talking to me about that. So I'm going to have you start this off with the first book that you got through, which is Heir to the Empire. And then we'll just go, you do one, I'll do one, and then we'll just pass back and forth. So I'll have you start with the Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn, which is the debut of Thrawn as a character. It was the first, those books were the first actual non-canon, well, they're not canon now, but before they were canon because we didn't know George Lucas was coming up with episodes 1, 2, and 3. And this was the actual, and the way it's played out, it's an actual trilogy after Return of the Jedi. So I'm going to pass it over to you so you can kind of explain what Heir of the Empire is for people that don't know and what you liked about it and whatever you want to add to this first book.
All right, so yeah, I just started reading this trilogy. Well, listening to it on Audible. I'm on the third one right now, so about halfway through that. And so the first one, though, Heir to the Empire, obviously, Grand Admiral Thrawn is heir to the Empire after Palpatine is gone. He's the only Grand Admiral left alive. He's the highest ranking person left in the Empire. So he's basically takes over the Imperial forces and is trying to rebuild the Empire and take the galaxy back over, essentially. So I mean, I love that you get to see more with what happens with Han and Leia and Luke and all that after the Emperor is killed. So I think that's cool because,
Absolutely.
like I told you before, I wasn't a huge book reader before. I just started getting into it with the Audible and the audiobooks.
Shout out to Audible. You guys save a lot of people with stuff like that.
Absolutely. But and then just how Thrawn is portrayed through this entire series so far.
Absolutely.
He's just he's so maniacal, and he's always 3 steps ahead, and he always has a plan. And his captain, I can't remember his name right now for some reason, is always confused, and he's like, are you sure? And then Thrawn has to like break it down for him, like he's in elementary school, and then he's like, I don't know why I ever second guessed you. And it's just I think the book was. I think the book was really, really well done, and
Absolutely.
it was definitely cool to see, some of the stuff that happens like immediately after.
What I loved about those books was they portrayed Thrawn as like this cold, callous, serious, no bullshit kind of guy. He never yells. He always speaks slowly, firm, and like you look at him and you're like, all right, this dude doesn't yell, but this dude creeps me out. Like, I don't want to fuck this dude over because I might die. Oh, no guarantee I might die. Like,
Yeah, even when like Master Sabayoth is yelling at him like in the books and stuff, he just is just as calm as can be and just replies back to him, and eventually, Sabayoth will calm down. But
absolutely. And I love how and we've talked about this too, I love how Thrawn finds the weaknesses in armies based on their love of art. Like, that is fantastic. And they even brought that into Rebels as well, with his art collection in his office and stuff, and it's so good.
yeah, and Thrawn also mentions how Master Sabayoth isn't the real Master Sabayoth, and he's a clone of him, and that's why he has these like wild tendencies to just like go off the rails sometimes and like freak out. But I mean, Thrawn's the perfect person to be able to handle that because he's just always, like you said, just calm, cool.
And if I'm
collected.
correct, I'm hoping I'm not getting the books mixed up. I think this is right. Isn't that guy also have like these things on him that like render the Force powerless?
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
The Islamare, yeah,
That is so dope.
they repel Force energy. So like when he first meets Sabayoth, he's got one on his shoulder, and Sabayoth
They can't
tries
use
to
the
hit him
Force
with
at all. It's so good.
Sabayoth actually tries to hit him with the lightning, so that's super interesting.
So good. All right, so I'm going to get into the first of the top 5 I think you should read, and they're going to be from the bottom to number 1 you should read. The first book I'm going to talk about is Calloused, and it is the prequel to Rogue One. It should be read. It's so good. This should have been made into a TV show, a miniseries to lead into Rogue One, because legit the book goes into Rogue One. Like, the end of the book is the opening scene of Rogue One. And it's really cool because you get more of a backstory on Mad Mikkelsen's character and of the main heroine of the movie and what they went through and what he was working on, and him getting to see who the Empire really is. And when he realizes what he's making, he tries to get away, and literally the Empire chases him, like literally chases him, until you get that opening scene in Rogue One where they find him, and of course they kill Mad Mikkelsen's wife and kills him. So the lead character has to go on. I can't remember her name because I haven't seen Rogue One in forever. But the book is fantastic. The book is a very, very, very good prequel to the movie that it led into. There's another one on this list I'm going to talk about too that's the same thing for a whole nother reason. But yeah, my number 5, go check it out, Catalyst. You can find it on Audible. You should be sponsoring us, Audible. You can find it on Audible. You can find the book at Barnes & Noble or Amazon or whatever you can buy books. Pick up Catalyst. It's a fast read. It's very interesting. And you get more of the overall picture of what that story has become. And it's just a great book. All right, so I'm going to pass it back over to you to talk about the second book of the Thrawn Trilogy.
Okay, the second book. Oh, shit. What's the name of the second book?
Damn, hold on.
Definitely got it right here.
Yeah, I totally forgot what it is. I haven't read them in a while. I know The Last Command is number 3.
Dark Force Rising.
Dark Force Rising. That's right. Dark
Force Rising.
And then Last Command is number 3.
Oh boy, it's hard to discern between what happened in the first book and the second book because I literally listened to them back to back. So I'm trying to
and they flow so well too.
Yeah, and then what's happened so far in the third book as well. So I know it was probably in the first one when he goes and finds Sabaoth originally.
Yeah.
God. I might have to kick it back to you to talk about another book while I go over this in my head real quick.
Yeah. No problem. Okay, so number 4 on my list is another prequel to a movie, which is the prequel to Episode 3, and it's called Labyrinth of Evil. If you haven't checked out Labyrinth of Evil, definitely go check it out. It's literally the ongoing Clone Wars that was happening, and General Grievous is the main villain of that story. It's the backstory of General Grievous. And it is so well done. You get to literally see what happened to General Grievous, like how he was an alien and then he decided to put all these cybernetics on top of his skin and body and turning himself into the General Grievous droid commander that we know in Episode 3. And the pain and shit that he went through, and how after he did that, he started training with Dooku, which the rule of 3, in my opinion, is just weird. Just weird. And they didn't follow it. Palpatine didn't follow it. Tyrannus didn't follow it, Dooku. Everybody was training everybody at that point, and why the Emperor allowed it, I don't know. I think maybe he had faith in the Jedi to take them out so that it was only him and his apprentice left. But think about it. You had Palpatine training Maul all while he was training Dooku. Maul dies. Dooku becomes the next apprentice. While he's training Dooku, he's prepping Anakin to be his apprentice. While that's all going on, Dooku is training not just Asajj Ventress, but he's also training Grievous. So it's like all these people just all training all at the same time with nobody knowing. And I think that Palpatine knew that what was going to happen, and they were all going to die off anyways. Because he knew once Grievous was dead, he was going to order 66 anyways. But you see a lot in this Labyrinth of Evil book, to spin back around into it, you see a lot of conspiring and future foreshadowing. You get to see Palpatine doing all these things, which is, in my opinion, amazing. Because it shows you how smart Palpatine was. He was always 2 steps ahead. Like everyone tries to argue, okay, well, if he was 2 steps ahead, then why in Episode 3 did Mace Windu get the best of him? He didn't. He didn't get the best of him. He knew Anakin was going to come back because he planted that seed. Without me, your wife dies. And Anakin did not want to lose Padme. So he was going to do everything he could to save her, even do the worst things. And he already knew he was capable. He killed the Tusken Raiders. He literally killed Dooku. After all Palpatine had to do was nudge him and go, do it. And cuts his head off. He already knew he was able to do these things. So he knew by putting that seed in, train with me and I'll give you the power to save the one you love. Anakin was going to turn that down. Anakin was going to do anything he could to do that, including killing innocent people. And the fact...
Children.
Exactly. And the fact that Windu was going to do the same thing as him. And he stopped him because he wanted him. Like, yeah, it's not the Jedi way. We need to take him to the courts. You could have did that to Dooku. But no, you decided to kill him because he was too powerful to keep alive. And that's why he threw it in his face when he said that. And all of a sudden, Anakin takes that, what I call the coming to Jesus moment that we've seen 3 times in this whole franchise. Anakin took the bad way instead of taking the way he was supposed to. He should have let him take it to the courts. Even though, yes, the courts were going to get him off, and it would have been civil war with no end, like he said. But honestly, I would have let Windu kill him. It would have been the thing, but it was all game. Palpatine, even if like he would have tried to do that death blow, Palpatine would have stopped him, and immediately
He was playing the long game the whole time.
Exactly. He needed Windu dead to execute Order 66. Because now, bam, now there's the plot to take down the government. Bam, fell right into their freaking trap. Like, what did they say on Ahsoka? The reason, I don't know if they said it in Ahsoka or somebody else said it, but they said the moment the Jedi lost is when they became soldiers and not peacemakers.
Yes.
So once they became soldiers, it was done. And Palpatine knew it. He knew it. He was always playing the long game. So you get to see that in this book. Little foreshadowing, little different things. So definitely number 4, go check out Labyrinth of Evil. The other 3 books are a little higher on my list. 1 is going to be self-explanatory. So I can't wait to talk about that as well. But I'm going to pass it on. Did you get the information that you needed?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to pass it back off to you to finish what you were talking about with the second book in the Thrawn Trilogy.
Yeah, okay, so Dark Force Rising. So you have Leia, who's pregnant with twins. Sabaoth makes a deal with Thrawn for Thrawn to deliver Luke and Leia to him because he wants to basically train the future Jedi. So he's trying to get Leia, and he's trying to get Luke. He's also kind of taking over the Empire at the same time, which is like kind of seems like Thrawn just is letting him slide by on that one.
He never lets him slide. He always has a way to get things. So him letting him slide, he's got something in his head.
Yeah, exactly.
To get him back.
It's always the long game with Thrawn too. He's always way ahead of whoever he's dealing with. And like I mentioned to you, the only time that he ever loses is when his officers fail him and stuff like that, because he's always got everything planned out so perfectly. But then, so they hear news about the Katana fleet being somewhere, and Thrawn's obviously trying to get that information because he wants the Katana fleet for himself, and that's just another example of when he is, just so far ahead of them, because they're supposed to be like 200 ships or something, and by the time Luke and them find them, there's like 13 ships there or something like that. So he's always one step ahead of you. He's always got everything planned out so perfectly. And then you have Leia, who is what's the name of that planet that she's on? That she's hiding on.
I love how they brought. That's another reason why I love these books, is they brought a lot of stuff in the expanded universe on planets we never knew, and very slowly are starting to come back. They're starting to bring them back into canon again.
And then they have Mara Jade in the books too,
which is a shame we never got in live action. Honestly, Mara Jade is fantastic. She is so dope. and Luke's wife, and the mother of his kids in the expanded universe.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I'm just gonna end it there. Like that's pretty much
pretty
the
much the
breakdown
gist
of
of it?
that and the gist of that book. Like I said, I read them, listened to them very quickly within the last week. So I'm definitely gonna read them again because they were definitely very intriguing. But I don't have a whole ton right now to say on them, unfortunately, aside from the fact that they were a great read.
Yes. I think for number 3 for my book, the books I think every Star Wars fan should read if you haven't read it, for a great adventure. The third one being Shadows of the Empire. Shadows of the Empire by Matthew Perry was one of the books I read when I was a kid, and again, this came out before Return of the Jedi, or not before, after Return of the Jedi came out, because there's a time jump, if you realize, between the end of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. There's a big time jump, because if you look in the movies, you see at the end of Empire Strikes Back, Luke loses his hand, and then by the time Return of the Jedi comes in, he's a Jedi Master all of a sudden, and he's got a green lightsaber, and he's so much stronger in the Force than when we left him. All of that missing in the movie is in Shadows of the Empire. It literally takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So literally the bulk of the book is taking place with Leia and Luke trying to find where Boba Fett brought Han. And they go into this this villain named Caesar or Shizor, I forgot how to pronounce it. And he's like this alien of this gangster organization. It's so dope. And that organization, they're called the Black Suns, I think they're called. They actually have like rivalry in the books later in time with Darth Maul's group, which was the group in Crimson Sun from Rogue One. But he's got like this pheromone when he's around women that get women to like fall in love with him, like a love potion, and do whatever he wants. And he is such a good villain. And you get to see a new villain in between those. So yeah, Vader's still around. It's such a great book. Such a great book. And again, it's not a long book. You can get through this. If you read it, you can get through it in probably a couple days. You can get it on Audible. I don't know who narrates it, but I haven't heard the Audible version. But it's dope. It's so dope.
What did you say the name of the book was again?
Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows of the Empire. It definitely sounds like an interesting read to
Yes.
find out what happens in between that long span of time.
Yes. And they come up with another kind of like scoundrel character. I can't think of the name offhand because I'm bad with names. That was a fan favorite that we've never gotten in live action form, but it was almost like Han Solo's equal, and it was so dope. That's it. Dash Rendar. That's the name. Dash Rendar became a fan favorite because it was like another Han Solo. He was always in competition, trying to say, I'm the best scoundrel, and Han Solo's like, I'm the best scoundrel between them. It's cool to get to see this character because Han literally isn't in this book. Because at this point, this whole book, he's frozen in carbonite. So they're literally looking for him, and they get Dash to help him with his shadowy ways and his contacts to find out. And it literally ends with Leia going to Jabba's palace.
He's Jabba's favorite decoration.
Absolutely. And literally ends with him saying, I'm here to offer you something, to offer you a deal. And then we pick up in Return of the Jedi at that opening. Really good book. Really good book.
Isn't it like 9 years between those two movies or something?
3 years.
3? Okay.
I think it's 3.
Oh, yeah, 3.
Yeah, I think it's either 2 or 3, but I think it's 3. I think that's where they wanted to keep it. And it's 3 years of just what happened at that point. And it's cool because you get to hear him get to read him creating a new lightsaber, him doing what he does best, him getting stronger in the Force, why he became a Jedi Master by the time he gets to Jabba's palace, why the power structure is so much stronger than compared to when less. Because if you remember, in Return of the Jedi, he is able to hold up with Vader, where in Empire Strikes Back, he wasn't. So you get to see kind of what he did to get that power. It's so good. It's so good.
1 to 2, I think, and 3 to 4 have big long jumps.
Yes.
Long jumps in time.
Yes. Do you want to talk about what you've read so far in the last one, or do you have any other books that you've read in a long time that you like? Any comics? Because comics can be in there as well.
Honestly, I mean, you can take control of this episode
Okay.
for the last little bit of time we got and talk about the last.
Yeah, we got a
few
little bit
books
of
we
time
got.
still. All right, so that was number 3. I'd say with number 2, I would have to go Plagueis. The book Plagueis is amazing. It is so good. And when they decided to make it non-canon, I was really depressed because it goes through the beginning of Palpatine and how he became Lord Sidious and what he did, and the never-ending thing about how Sidious was the mastermind of messing with the midichlorians to make Anakin come to life. Because remember, he had no father. If you read the comic books, the Vader comic books, there's a panel of him going, whoo, in the behind Shmi, and you see Shmi, and then inside Shmi you see the little kid. So saying that Palpatine used very dark magic to create Anakin. And what I think it was made for was Anakin was supposed to be a vessel for Plagueis. Because the story that they tell you in episode 3, now it's true, now that they considered it non-canon, anything expanded universe non-canon. Before that, there was, in the book Plagueis is still alive by the time episode 1 is around. And he was behind the curtains. And he was watching from the shadows. Where the story that Palpatine says in episode 3 about how he was training his apprentice, and his apprentice killed him, and he was obsessed with life after death and achieving it and couldn't save his own, was all a story because he was around in episode 1. I think, in my own true opinion, I think Anakin alone was supposed to be the vessel for Plagueis to come back and play. But then we get to the whole point where Sidious didn't want to give up his power, and why Order 67 was created after Order 66, so that Vader could never uprise against the Empire or the Vader's fist would gun him down. So it is a very, very awesome book to read. Definitely check it out because you definitely can see Palpatine, how really, he is a sinister, dark fucking individual. Even as a young man, the shit that he does in this book is just fucked. Like, you foreshadow like crazy of who Lord Sidious will become older in life. So good. So yeah, definitely check out Plagueis. I say for my number 2 book, I cannot not talk about this book. Star Wars Episode 3. The actual novelization for Episode 3. If you loved Episode 3, and I know a lot of people don't like the prequels, I'm one of those people that I do not particularly like the prequels. I think 2 is better than 1. I think 1 is trash. I know everybody loves the pod race scene. I think that, in my opinion, that slows it down. I think the only thing good about Episode 1 is the battle between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Maul. I think that whole end scene battle, I think that's great. But the novelization of 3, and which again, 3 in my opinion is the best of the prequels. You get everything. You get the passing of the twins. You get the battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin before he becomes Vader. You get the becoming of Vader. You get Order 66. You get everything in that movie that I've wanted as a Star Wars fan.
That's an amazing lightsaber battle. Too.
So
It's
good. And then they do it again in Obi-Wan, which is so good. But in the book, it expands it more. And you realize why Anakin was so fast to turn on the Jedi Order. I mean, when you see the movie, you're like, wow, that was a quick turn. Like, he was all about, I love my master, he's my best friend, he's like a father to me. In the book, you see why he turns. He blames the Jedi Order for his mother's death because he got the dreams in episode 2, and you get a little bit in episode 2 of her death, and he brought it to the Jedi Temple, and they're like, we can't do anything. We can't get involved. We can't get involved. That's whole slavery is allowed on that planet of Tatooine, and we can't get involved because then we get into a conflict that we have no part of. I get it. That's his mom. He wants his mom free, but he was more important to the Jedi at that point. So he has that as a, I have something against the Jedi Order. It was your fault my mom died. She was alive when I had the dreams and you did nothing. Then he gets the Padme dreams. And again, he doesn't want to bring it to them because they're not going to do it. They're not going to change it. And by episode 3, when he gets those dreams, he's going to do everything in his power to save the ones he loves. And you get to see it and read it in this book. And you see more of the struggle between the light and the dark in Anakin. And there's a line at the end of this book that I've said, in my opinion, has been fantastic. And they do most of the dialogue in episode 3's movie, but they cut out my favorite line of the book. And it's where he goes into, you were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. You're supposed to end them, you're supposed to bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness. And he says in the movie, I loved you, and then walks away. In the book, there's more to that. There's another line to that dialogue. And he says, I loved you, but I won't save you. And then he picks up the lightsaber and he walks away. That one line, yeah, it's one line. But that one line, it cuts deep. Because Obi-Wan loves Anakin. That's his best friend. He mentored him. They went through the Clone Wars together. They became battle buddies. They relied on each other to protect themselves. There was a deep friendship there that you see in Obi-Wan the show. They bring that back, and you see more of what his mindset was. Because like in the show, he says, I'm not your failure, Obi-Wan. I destroyed Anakin. You did not. But in this book, you feel, you hear it in the movie too, let me go fight the Emperor. I can't fight Anakin. I can't do it. Because he loves the man so much, he does not want to put himself in that situation. But Palpatine would have ended Obi-Wan really quick. Either way, it would have gone that way. The galaxy still would have been run by the Empire, but it would have been a lot different. Because if Obi-Wan would have went to take on the Emperor, there would be nobody to train Luke, and they would have found Luke, and it would have just been game over. They would have brought Luke to the dark side, and it would have been father and son running the galaxy at that point. But you see and you feel Obi-Wan's turmoil in this book by reading it, and it's so good. And also there's hints of, and I haven't read in a while, there's hints of an affair between Padme and Obi-Wan because he's so paranoid. At this point, Anakin is so paranoid about everything. His mind is gone. He's thinking radical thoughts. And literally, Padme even, again, it's not a focal point. There's little words and hints that Anakin thinks there's an affair. That's why he was so fast to snap and said, Obi-Wan was here. Why? Like, that's supposed to be your best friend. And in the movie, you ask your wife he was here, and you get defensive, like right from the jump. If that's your best friend, why are you getting defensive? This book explains the mindset of Anakin. So if you want more of a richer experience of episode 3, go read that book. I think we've done Catalyst, Shadows of the Empire, Plagueis, episode 3. Okay, comes down to legit my favorite book, and it's just fun. It is just fun. The Darth Bane books. Darth Bane 2, they literally, read the Rule of 1, or the Rule of 2. He literally, in that book, it's so good. Again, so you can find all these on Audible. If you're not a strong reader and you like listening to them when you're at work, or you're on the drive home, or you're on the drive somewhere, throw in an audiobook and just listen. The Rule of 2 is so good because at this point, this is going on while there's multiple Sith everywhere. And Darth Bane just sits back and sees them killing each other, war with each other, them trying to take over, them having lawlessness. Then he finally just goes, I'm done. The Sith need to be stronger and smarter than this. And he brings up the Rule of 2. 1 to have the power, 1 to crave it. And that the learner will become the master. It's the Sith way. And you get to see how all this comes together. It's fantastic. It's so good. Literally, I'm thinking about joining Audible again just to get some books, seeing as you've been doing it. I'm thinking about doing it again because I kind of want to get into it again. If you have them on Kindle, there are some books that you can pay an upcharge and just have the free Audible book. I think it's like 99 cents or $2.99, and you can have all your Kindle books be formatted to audio through Audible, and it's so good. So yeah, those are my 5 books to check out. Catalyst, Plagueis, Rule of 2, Episode 3, and Shadows of the Empire. Those are so great. So next week we're gonna get into, because we're gonna wrap this up because we're getting to our hour mark. Next week we're always gonna start it off with news. We're gonna do Star Wars news and news that I find, or news that he finds, or things that he thinks is cool that we should put out there that we're like, hey, if you didn't know about this, check this out. Our bulk end of the episode is I want to talk about, and I want to do these out of order just because I think some are more topics than others. I want to talk about Rise of Skywalker. Our main topic for next week is we're going to do a review and discussion of Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. I'm going to watch it again as much as it's going to...
As much as it's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt, and it's going to be a chore.
I'm going to give it a rewatch, too.
And I'm going to put down certain things that I don't like that I didn't remember, and I want to put it down. And I'm going to have a sheet on this table of things I want to talk about. Pros, cons. There's a lot more cons than there are pros.
The list is going to be really long for the cons.
But we're going to talk about it. So...
But, I mean, there's people out there that like it, and, I mean, there's stuff that I liked about it, and, you know, we'll bring up everything. It's all subjective, so...
I mean, there are fans to Episode 9 and the sequel trilogy. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not shitting on your love for it. If you guys out there, if you love it, I celebrate you. Amazing. Celebrate it. You love Star Wars, celebrate it. For me, it just did not work. It fell apart from beginning to end, and when you go against your own canon, which is your holy Bible of the rules of your universe, I have a problem with it. But people that love it, I celebrate you. Love it. Star Wars is great. Some people will come up to me and go, hey, bad Star Wars is better than no Star Wars. And if that's the way you feel, I have nothing to say to that. Good. I'm glad. Celebrate things you love, because then if enough people love it, that against like me that don't like it, you bring up like the value of it, and we'll get more stuff. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about Episode 9. I'm gonna probably rewatch it either tomorrow, because I have a bunch of time tomorrow to do, So I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start getting news together. So we're going to end the episode on that. Stay tuned for next week's episode. We're going to talk about episode 9. We're going to talk about news. If anything comes up that we think is cool, we're going to do it in the middle of it. So stay tuned for episode 9 talk next week. It's going to be fun. If you're into seeing somebody rant and look like a psycho, then definitely tune in because I do not like this movie.
It's gonna be a good one.
And I definitely have a lot to say. So until next week, I am Darth Crimson, Jay Quinn.
Jedi Master Grady. Give us a like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff.
First episode goes tonight. We're going to put it up tonight. It's going to be uploaded. We're going to share it on Facebook, Instagram. You're going to see the YouTube channel for...
This isn't live.
Yeah, but you will see it when it's uploaded. You will see it up there, and we will share it everywhere. So stay tuned. Until then, we will see you next week.